Good afternoon, this is Pete from FigLife.com, and today I'm looking at another fig variety. This one's called Ponte Tresa. And Ponte Tresa is a variety that there was a lot of buzz about a few years back. It was going for some really high prices, but it's kind of come back down to earth. But it is actually a pretty good tasting fig. It can taste pretty good, but it was pretty late for me this year. I'm just ripening my first figs off that tree in mid-October here in Northern Virginia, which is really late. But it can taste good, as I mentioned. So let's go take a look at Ponte Tresa. Hi, good afternoon. Today I'm looking at Ponte Tresa. So this is getting my first figs off Ponte Tresa here. It's October 12th in Northern Virginia, which is really late. It's really late to be getting figs, first figs at least. But I've kind of had this back here. I wouldn't say like completely shaded, but kind of back here in the back. It's a second year tree, so I can't even blame the fact that it was like a first year tree. So I think Ponte Tresa is a pretty late fig. I know I got figs off this last year, and I remember it being late last year, but I think I blamed the fact that it was a first year tree last time on that lateness. But here, this is a second year tree. I'm just now getting figs off this thing. Let me go ahead and pick these. So I got a bunch of figs just ripening today, and actually a bunch of them split. So I got like 6 of them here. So I'll try several of those here. But the tree's grown well. I mean, you can see the growth here. It's maybe like 6 feet tall. Let's look at the leaves. Yeah, it seems to be the leaf shape there. I remember this tasting really good last year, but I think I used my grow room last year to finish ripening it, if I remember correctly. And this year, I didn't use a grow room. It's been sitting right here. In fact, I think one of the reasons I didn't move it is because the roots have grown into the ground here through the pot. And so usually when that happens, I try to just leave it, because in order to move it, you got to rip those roots out of the ground, which can number one, be difficult to do. And then number two, I think slows down the growth of the fig or the development of the fruit. So I try not to do that. Yeah, so I got a bunch of figs here. I think like maybe 6 of them, 6 Ponte Tresa figs. A bunch of them had split. You can see that one. But a few of these didn't split, and I think I have various stages of ripeness here. So let's go take a look at these figs. All right, so look at that. 6 Ponte Tresa figs. And a couple of these feel pretty ripe. This one here is pretty soft. A couple of these aren't quite as soft. And it's kind of funny. I've had 0 figs off this tree all season, and then, in one day I just pick a bunch of them. I could have left a couple of these on the tree a little bit longer, but, at this point, this late in the season, it's now or never, So let me see what we got here. Let me check the weight. 44, maybe like 40. I gotta zero that out. And 51. Yeah, so about a medium size. And that's the sort of shape of the fig there. A few of these had split. I must have got some rain today or something, because a lot of my figs split open. And I didn't see any splitting yesterday. But there's one that hasn't split. You can see the eye there. All right, let me cut these open. All right, look at that. Plate full of Ponte Tresa. And most of these are looking pretty ripe, actually. Look at that. That looks pretty good. I'm getting a little bit of spoilage here. This one in particular looks, clearly you can see the spoilage down here by the eye. I'm actually, since I have a few of these, I'm not even gonna eat that one. I don't feel like, well, you know what? I'll cut the bottom off. All right, let me try these. All right. Let me cut the bottom off this spoiled one, since I don't feel like eating nasty spoiled fig. The rest of these look good. I don't see any spoilage. Maybe a little in that one. since I've got 6 figs to work with, I'm a little more picky on which figs I keep, you know. If it was just 1 fig, I would be less inclined to throw it out, but all right, I think the rest are good. So let me try these. This is Ponte Tresa. Let me try another one. All right, that one had a little bit of sweetness. Let me try one more here. Try to find a good one. Maybe this one. Maybe. Let me try this. Yeah. So I'm having this problem with a lot of my figs now. The sweetness that I know should be there, the flavor that I know should be there, just isn't quite there this late in the season. It's so cool out. There's just such limited sunlight. I mean, it's almost like half dark here with all the clouds that are overhead right now. It's affecting the flavor of a lot of the fig varieties. You know, I know Ponte Tresa has a good flavor, but there's just a little bit of sweetness. It's kind of a watery sort of flavor, not a lot of, there's some berry, but not a lot of berry. And I know it should have a sweeter flavor, and there should be more berry flavor there than what there is right now. And I think that's just, it's just the cooler, the cooler weather, the less sunlight that we've had. I mean, that's why that's occurring. And then the other thing is the skin is having a thicker, kind of like almost more leathery sort of taste to it, a texture and taste, which is not that great. And that's another issue I've been having, is the skin has been having a negative flavor sometimes on some of these varieties, whether it be a little bit of bitterness in the skin or just a tough kind of leathery sort of flavor that in either case not terribly enjoyable. So, you know, these are edible, but I wouldn't say they're great. One thing about Ponte Tresa is you can get some of the color kind of bleeds into the edge of the skin here on this fig. That's kind of a normal sort of thing, and you can start to sort of see that here with this fig, how it's doing that. If this was probably ripened in under different conditions, you'd see more of that, where the red would bleed into the pulp there, the white part of the skin, so that the white part would actually turn like a red sort of color. I've heard some people refer to that as the skin color bleeding into it, but I think it's actually the opposite. I think it's the pulp bleeding over into the white part of the skin, because obviously this doesn't have a red or dark skin, right? It's just a green fig. So either way, it turns that white part of the skin kind of a red or dark color. Yeah, so that's Ponte Tresa. Honestly, not the greatest flavor for me right now. It's just too late in the season. The weather's not that great. I remember last year being much more impressed with this flavor from this fig. So it's just unfortunate that it didn't ripen for me earlier in the season. And I think if I hadn't had it back in the shade, and you know, if I'd been able to get it more sunlight, get it kind of out from around some of those other trees, maybe it would have ripened for me sooner. I don't know, but it does seem to be a late fig. Yeah, it's just not as good as it should be. So that's Ponte Tresa. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and check out my website, www.figlife.com. Thanks.